has taken a run at Russell Wilson's goody-two-shoes personality. Jokes about the Seahawks quarterback have been trending that include saying Russ thinks drinking coffee is living on the edge. He plays go fish on team plane rides and says dag nabbit. There are countless other jokes we don't have time to mention. Shannon, how do you explain this? What is going on?
Well, he's gotten a rep for the way he carries himself, Skip. He's very unique. I mean, he came into the league, Russell was married. And so the guys that, you know, a lot of guys come into the league, they're single and they're talking about one thing. Russ has a wife at home. So he's not engaging in the conversation that normally guys that are single coming into the league, 21, 22 years of age, that they're engaging in. And I was very mindful of that. Guys that were married, I watched the way I talked in front of them. He's also a man of faith. So the swearing and the things that are going on in the locker room, he's not a part of that. And a lot of times, you know, and you look at him like, well, hold on, bro, you know, and he wasn't engaging in that, Skip. But I think the crux of this, and this happens a lot in our community, and I think the people in our community that's watching the show understand what I'm talking about. There's levels to blackness here. And if you look at Russell Wilson and you look at Patrick Mahomes, they're a lot more alike than, say, Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson. The first two guys I mentioned, Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson, they're biracial. And so they're always being looked at, and there's a stigma that goes with our community.
Wait, who'd you say is biracial? I lost you.
Russell Wilson. And is it Russell Wilson?
I don't think he is.
You don't think he is?
I'm pretty sure he's not.
Okay. I look at him and Mahomes.
Patrick.
Mahomes, yeah, I know Patrick Mahomes. I thought Russell was also. My bad, sorry. I look at those two guys' personality as more alike. As opposed to Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
And I think the thing is that when you're fair complected, when you're light-skinned, people automatically think, oh, you think you're white. Russell has the good hair. You know, and this goes back to slave, Skip, because when you're light-skinned, you normally got to work in the house, and when you're dark-skinned, you hit the fields. The light skin came from, you know, you probably had some of the master's blood in your system. And so we already looked at you kind of funny because we felt you were getting treated differently. And I think the thing is that that's how they view Russell in the Legion of Boom. And Skip, the thing that I love most about him is that he never, you know, moved away from who he is. He ain't try to be hard. He ain't come there listening to no rap music, getting no tattoo, say, I'm down. That's not who he was. And he says he's embraced who he is. And if you look at the defense, the Legion of Boom, and this was the team that was carried by their defense, you look at Cam and you look at Sherm and you look at Bobby, you look at those guys, they kind of gravitated towards offensively beast mode. Here's beast mode from Oaktown. He's in your face. He's on the edge. That's how he is. They look at Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin was the guy that was undrafted. Fought your tooth and nail. And then they look at Russ like, you old goody two-shoes, bro. You up there listening to the old bull jive music, play Go Fish. Bro, you ain't one of us. You ain't down. But the thing is with Russ, he hadn't changed. And now, Russ got Sierra. They're like, whoa, how this corny? They look at him like, dude, how you get her? How? Why?
He did.
And he did.
Yeah.
So, Skip, I think that's the part of it that Russ, he just embraces it. I mean, but Skip, you have to understand, now he plays the quarterback position. And when you try to be something that you're not, guys see that and they call you fake, they call you phony. I don't believe this is an act for Russ. I believe this is who he is. He's embraced who he is. And I don't get the problem with why people think that, I guess because you're black, you're supposed to have tattoos, you're supposed to be, maybe have your hair cornrowed or dress a certain way. No, I mean, this is who he is. What you see is what you get, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
Last night, Twitter wasn't. Although you can make the case Twitter was just having fun with it. It didn't seem too mean-spirited to me from what I read of that thread. But this label has hung over him.
It has.
His whole career. And just to frame this discussion, I appreciate everything you just said. I go back to Mike Freeman writing in the Bleacher Report back on October 22nd of 2014. This team is the defending Super Bowl champion after crushing Peyton and company, right? What was it, 41-9 or
44-8, something like that? Yeah,
I happened to
that was a terrible game. I happened to be there for that one.
You're a Bronco by blood.
I am.
And that was a hard one to get through.
It was.
Okay, so they're coming off that, and now we're mid-season, and Mike Freeman, who is African-American, wrote for the Bleacher Report there's also an element of race that needs to be discussed. My feeling on this, and it's backed up by several interviews with Seahawks players, is that some of the black players think Wilson isn't black enough.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going all the way back to mid-2014, and they're on their way to a second straight Super Bowl. And you definitely know what happened at the end of that Super Bowl. Pete Carroll said, I'm going to put the ball in Russ's hands, not in Beast Mode's hands. And you and I have gone back and forth, but the point was the play did not work. Even though I thought the throw was good enough to work, but Malcolm Butler undid it, and he snatched it in a Houdini-esque way that I've never seen happen at the end of a Super Bowl, certainly. And the rest is history, because the Legion of Boom, as you correctly pointed out, that was the beginning of the end of the Legion of Boom, because suddenly Pete Carroll was forced to, John Schneider, GM, forced to start to choose between the quarterback who, quote-unquote, isn't black enough and the Legion of Boom who's saying, what did you just do, Pete
Because
Carroll?
prior to that, Skip, maybe a lot of that was pointed at Russ. But for the first time, some of that anger and vitriol was pointed at Pete Carroll, which had never happened before.
Nope. Okay. So now, here's what's fascinating to me about this. I get it. He can be a little goody two-shoes, a little lame, cliched. I get all that. And yet, can you be too religious? Can you be too good of a dad? Can you be too good of a husband? I don't know, because to me, he's really good at all the above.
He is. And
here's the flip of that. When he is on the football field, especially with the game on the line in the fourth quarter, he's hard. He is as tough mentally. He has as much dog in him as anybody who ever played that position to me. Like Brady's got dog in him, but it doesn't manifest the same way. Russ just makes play after play after play. Arm, legs, guts, will, giving up his body, taking punishment. Man, you can't call him soft on a football field, right? It's the flip side of everything I was reading last night on Twitter.
Because, but Skip, when you look, but there's always, and people like, well, Shannon, race, but there's always a race element. Because Tom Brady's corny.
He is.
But that's expected of a white guy playing quarterback.
But not religious. Yeah.
So you look at some of these other guys, and Peyton would do some things, but we see Peyton's personality. But it's almost like you're black, you need to act.
By the way, Peyton can be corny clever, like corny funny. It's actually funny where you say,
he don't have a problem making fun of himself.
Correct.
And so I think that's what sets Peyton apart. But I think the thing is, when you get a black quarterback and you're black, there's like, well, I want to see that blackness. But Russ is like, I'm a quarterback. Yes, I'm black. I happily embrace who and what I am. But I'm a quarterback. And I think quarterbacks act a certain way. And Russ has understood that. That I can't, there are certain things that as a quarterback of a football team, Skip, I can't do, say, like a cornerback or the running back or the defensive lineman. But there's always been levels to this where he or she is not black enough. Because, Skip, I remember, you know, if you were smart and growing up black, oh, you think you white. Anytime that you did something that, I just don't want to be, no, I'm not thinking I'm white. I'm just, I do my homework, I read, and so I'm educated. But there's always that, and we get that a lot now. We're getting that with Vice President candidate Kamala Harris. She ain't black enough. Or she with a white man. Her parents are this and that. See, that's how we do in the community. We just pick each other apart. What, for what?
So, do I think Russell Wilson curses off camera? Do I think there's a hidden side to him? I don't. I don't know that for sure, but I'm going to guess no. Okay, so let's look at the flip side of this. I always tell you, when LeBron James is doing a public interview, national TV, and he curses, and sometimes he even uses the F word, I tell you, it makes me cringe because he is a role model. He's I promise. And I think, LeBron, you're better than that. You don't need to. It's just gratuitous. It doesn't get you anywhere. But it does get you this far. When he's on the shop, obviously, then that's HBO. He's just going to let it fly. But it does get you this. It allows people who love him to say, well, at least he's being real. Raw, real. That's real LeBron because off camera. Yeah, he's going to drop some bombs.
Skip, I think the thing is that fans want to realize, well, how authentic or how real is what I'm watching is that person off camera? Is he really like that? And that's the thing, Skip. People want to know, you really like that? Does he really talk like that? Is that really how he feels? And when LeBron is speaking, they're like, he's doing this kind of, he's talking like this on camera. Can you imagine what he's talking like off camera? Skip, I've only met Russell a handful of times. I met him early in his career, his rookie season, and he, you know, this is him. From what I gather, Skip, like I said, I haven't spent a whole lot of time around him, but what I've gathered, what you see is what you get.
Okay.
And, you know, the videos, and he's buying his wife, and I don't have a problem with that. The man loves his wife. He found someone that makes him happy, that he wants to spend the rest of his life with. And the things that they do together, they seem sincerely happy to me. I don't, you know, what is that? Well, because we see that a lot, and sometimes,
Hey,
you know.
You never know.
Exactly, Skip. So I'm just saying that if he comes off as that he really, truly enjoys his wife, he enjoys being married, and the guy can play. I don't get what the gist of it is, Skip. I can see I would have more of a problem if he was trying to be something that he's not, as opposed to being this.
Okay. Just let me remind everybody, he's been to 6 Pro Bowls in 9 years. That's really good.
Yes.
In the 2 Super Bowls he played, he didn't just play pretty well. He played great.
He played unbelievable.
Look at his QBRs against the Broncos. It was 88 scale 0 to 100.
Yes.
And then even in the loss to Tom Brady, he was spectacular. He had a QBR of 93. You would be hard-pressed to find any quarterback who's played 2 or more Super Bowls who had QBRs like this.
Right.
He was special
in
both.
Yeah.
So you can't fault him as a player at all. And by the way, speaking of players, they just voted him not only into the top 100, they voted him number 2 to Lamar, who was obviously the runaway MVP.
Correct.
Okay, so the players are saying, we buy. We're sold.
Yes.
Okay, does he have enough street in him? When he plays, he does.
He does.
You know,
he does.
Right?
And that's the thing, is, you know, just street cred, and you try to be hard, or you didn't have any tattoos. He doesn't have facial hair, Skip. He doesn't have earrings. The man just goes out there and play. Let the man live. There's enough space for everybody.